Megan Fox was adamant for years that she and Machine Gun Kelly are twin flames. She wanted so badly to find her soulmate, and MGK convinced her that he was the one. But in reality, he drained her and put her through a toxic relationship filled with turmoil. Machine Gun Kelly changed Megan Fox, and she's still trying to find her way back. So hit subscribe and stay tuned, because the deeper you go into celebrity drama, the crazier it gets. Honestly, I feel bad for Megan Fox. She went from a movie star to pretty much an Instagram model. And you know what? She does look good. I'm not hating on her for that. But it almost seems like she's trying to keep up with the kind of girls that Machine Gun Kelly would be associated with. Now, maybe these photos aren't about him, because recently Megan Fox blocked her baby's father on Instagram after he left some flirtatious comments. On one post he wrote, "Stoked I have your phone number," which makes sense since they share a child. On another post, he commented, "Stoked we have a baby." And that was enough for Megan Fox. She decided to block him. So how did we get here? I've always been a big fan of Megan Fox, and it feels like she had a spark about her that's kind of been lost. Remember, Megan Fox has 3 children with Brian Austin Green. She was with him before getting together with Machine Gun Kelly. He also has his own life now, but he hasn't been shy about sharing his opinions, especially when Machine Gun Kelly is in the headlines. I don't know why he hates Machine Gun Kelly so much, but maybe you'll understand why by the end of this video.
But I just wanted to know if you had any thoughts on Megan and MGK breaking up.
On what?
On Megan and MGK breaking up.
I didn't even know.
You didn't know?
No, I had no idea.
So apparently she found something on his phone that was inappropriate, and they were on vacation, he left, and a lot of people think that they should be done for good.
How old is he? Do you know? He's in his 30s,
Yeah,
isn't
he's
he?
in his 30s.
Nice.
Does he cheat on her a lot?
I have no idea.
Yeah. What do you think of...
But in your 30s, like, I don't know, fuck, grow up. Like, you know, she's pregnant.
Are you worried about her?
I just want the best for her. I want the best for the baby. I want the best for our kids.
Yeah.
That's a shame. That's a shame. I'm heartbroken about it.
I understand the appeal around MGK, and I even like some of his music, but as a person, he is incredibly toxic. Just months after separating from her husband, Brian Austin Green, Megan then found love with MGK after meeting on a movie set in March 2020. In May of that year, MGK released his music video Bloody Valentine, a hit song that featured Megan as the girlfriend in the video. In July of that year, MGK appeared on Lala Kent from the Vanderpump Rules show on her podcast Give Them Lala and confirmed that he was with Megan. Remember, Megan was on this high when she first got together with MGK. She was walking around calling them twin flames. She said she knew right away that he was what she calls a twin flame. Instead of a soulmate, a twin flame is where a soul has ascended to a high enough level that it can be split into 2 different bodies at the same time. Well, that's interesting now, knowing how their relationship turned out.
That woman struck a bullseye, and when I felt that sense light up, everything else went away, and I learned what it was to accept living. You know, when I saw her eyes for the first time, it was like I had a telescope to every secret in the universe. You know, she was when you have a twin flame relationship, you're essentially looking at a mirror at all the things that you fucking have ran away from your whole life. And you know, it's not like this grand waltz of love and gentility. It's really, really, really dark at first, and it's toxic because it's like looking at that, but instead you're seeing all of the things that you've ran away from this whole time and all the things that those drugs have numbed.
2 years after getting together, they got engaged, which honestly, congrats to them for holding off that long, especially since she had just been married a couple of months before they got together. So, at least they waited 2 years. Then he proposed to her with this ring that I still find incredibly disturbing. MGK worked on this ring with a designer to purposely inflict pain if the ring were to be removed from Megan's finger. Of course, this left fans concerned, with many saying they need to be stopped because why is a ring designed to hurt when taken off? Another person wrote, "Just a friendly reminder that love is not pain." That's a damaging message that allows abuse and toxicity to be misinterpreted as love. Love is wanting each other to be happy and to feel good, romantic, platonic, self-love, even love for a pet. But pain is never the barometer. I promise.
He's just a very romantic boy. Just the work that he put into designing my ring and like what he said. I met with the designer, and then the designer spoke back to me what he had told him, why he wanted this ring to be the way that it was, and like the way he described me, and that was very poetic and very romantic and very sweet. He's very thoughtful.
Now, this is just disgusting. Like, what is that? Like a blood cell or something, not a cell, but what is that? Like a blob of tissue inside a necklace. Megan posted a video to her Instagram account about her fiancé's proposal, writing in the caption, "Somehow a year and a half later, having walked through hell together and having laughed more than I ever imagined possible, he asked me to marry him." And just as in every lifetime before this one, and as in every lifetime that will follow, I said yes. And then we drank each other's blood. Megan also went on a podcast to set the record straight that she was not a Satanist or an evil witch of any sort. She said, "I can see where I planted a seed and grew a tree in its place," referring to the blood-drinking ritual. She explained that it was very misunderstood. She also noted that she fully understands why people think it's weird before saying, "I think it's weird that girls are out here letting guys finish off in their mouth. They don't know these guys." You're letting someone put their sperm in your mouth, and he doesn't even have a job, and you met him on Tinder. That's disgusting. Okay, well, that's a lot of presumption on Megan's side. It sounds like she's being defensive. She says, "So you're offended that I got a drop of Machine Gun Kelly's blood in my mouth, but you have some random guy's sperm in your mouth, and he didn't even buy you a nice drink."
I've never been a part of a satanic ritual. Don't know any people who've been a part of a satanic ritual. I'm not sure if the Illuminati is real. It probably is. I have not been extended an offer to join. I feel like if it was real, I would have been given an offer to join by now. So yeah, it's just to squash that. Not a Satanist or any kind of like an evil witch, light worker. Yes, I do, rituals, but that's not a negative thing. Anything is a ritual. Doing your skincare routine is a ritual. Going to church is a ritual. So I think people have to separate that word. That word has been demonized for so long that it's just been very misunderstood.
So at this point, Megan is doing her rituals. They're so in love, and the world just doesn't understand. But then in February 2023, there were rumors of a split because Megan deleted most of her posts with MGK, unfollowed him, and posted a video where she appeared to burn a letter in a bonfire, along with a string of risque mirror selfies, suggesting she was back on the market again, kind of like what she's doing now. Megan wrote in her caption, "You can taste the dishonesty. It's all over your breath," which are lyrics from Beyoncé's 2016 Pray, You Catch Me track.
What the fuck is going on with Megan Fox's Instagram and her relationship?
It all started this morning when she deleted every photo of her and Machine Gun Kelly from her Instagram and posted a video of her burning a letter, which for my witchy girlies, which we know Megan Fox is a cleansing and releasing kind of ritual. But now Pop Crave is reporting that her entire Instagram has been deleted. So we really don't know what the deal is with those two.
While rumors swirled about Megan's post, some fans continued to speculate about possible red flags in their relationship, even suggesting that she may have been a victim of abuse. During that time, Megan did respond to the rumors, stating, "What I can say is that he is what I referred to as being my twin soul, and there will always be a tether to him no matter what. I can't say for sure what the capacity will be, but I'll always be connected to him somehow." That's a lot of words without really giving much clarity, and it still shows she was holding on to that twin flame ideology.
I feel like everyone has such like an opinion on your guys' relationships. You got engaged, then I think it was called off, then we don't know what's going on with you. Like, how would you describe your relationship with MGK?
I think that what I've learned from being in this relationship is that it's not for public consumption. So I think as of now, I don't have a comment on like the status of the relationship per se. What I can say is that is what I refer to as being my twin soul. And there will always be a tether to him no matter what. I can't say for sure what the capacity will be, but I will always be connected to him somehow. Beyond that, I'm not willing to explain, but all those things you said were accurate, things that have occurred. And I could see them being confusing or interesting to people and them being like, what's up?
And to be honest, I'm not even hating on the whole twin flame idea. I just think that she's maybe using it as a metaphor to excuse some of the bad behavior or toxic patterns. She's trying to say, "Oh, well, we're twin flames, so no matter what happens, we'll still be tied to each other." It feels like she's trying to convince herself of that. What's sad about Megan's situation is that she's had a history of domestic violence. It's unclear whether she's referring to her ex-husband Brian or someone else, because MGK encouraged her to write a book where she revealed that she had been hit, suffocated, and thrown to the ground. Megan Fox's past relationships are pretty detailed in the public eye, so it raises questions about who she's referring to. Megan added that there was a time when she hadn't heard a man call her degrading names, but now if that didn't happen by midweek, she would consider it a miracle. She said she wanted to open up about domestic violence because 1 in 4 women experience it at some point in their lives. In an interview, Alex Cooper brought this up, saying people appreciate her writing the book but are also concerned, asking, "Are you okay? Are you still in this relationship?" That's where concern comes in for Megan Fox. It seems like she may have been deeply influenced into believing in this intense soul bond, and that she needs to heal and disconnect from that relationship. It's at least a positive sign that she blocked him and isn't engaging with him publicly.
I just think it was something inside of me that had to come out because it was going to make me sick.
I often wondered as I was reading if some of it was also a metaphor for how you were treated in Hollywood.
Some of it is definitely a metaphor. None of it is what I would call fictional. Those are all real life experiences that I had. This is not an expose that I wrote or a memoir.
You're not here to name names.
Yeah, but throughout my life, I have been in at least one physically abusive relationship and several psychologically very abusive relationships. I've only been publicly connected to a few people.
Correct.
That I shared energy with, I guess we could say, who were horrific people and also very famous people. But no one knows that I was involved with those people.
In Megan's poem Oxycodone and Tequila, she writes, "Your eyes go black and I know it's too late to run," then describes being pinned down, spit on, and choked by a man who is delusional and possessed. She writes, "You hit me again and again. I recognize the familiar taste of blood on my tongue," which is interesting considering she once mentioned tasting Machine Gun Kelly's blood. Megan also writes about being covered in scratches and bite marks. She says, "You fall asleep on top of me, so I can't call my family or the police." She reflects on relationships, saying, "For most of us, it's not a fairy tale. Relationships are not pretty. They are ugly. Sometimes they are war. But through a wound enters an opportunity to grow and become a stronger, more whole version of yourself." She also shared, "I spent my entire life keeping the secrets of men. My body aches from carrying the weight of their sins." I've spoken about cycles of abuse before, and it does seem like MGK may have gone through difficult experiences to become the person he is today. He has opened up about his childhood and trauma, which isn't surprising considering how he has treated Megan Fox.
I grew up in a very, very masculine house. It was the type where I would come downstairs and my dad would be like, "You're dressed like a fat." Go change. My house was very, very dark. Like I was living in my aunt's basement with my dad, and it was abusive, really. Like Listerine to this day triggers me so hard because I shared a bed with my dad, and he would always go and throw up in the morning and come back into bed, and he would have Listerine on his breath. And I had many years of being like, "Where's my mom?" And then, 15 years later, my mom and I, after he passed, we, find this reconnection, and I end up learning all of these false narratives I was fed as a kid. When you look around and the two people who are supposed to unconditionally love you, one isn't there, and then the other person is just like beating all of their own issues with life into you, and then you go to school and you're getting jumped or you're getting laughed at. When you can't even leave your room. Well, like, dude, sometimes my dad would just bust the door open and bring all of the shit in there. So I didn't feel safe anywhere, and I moved to the attic so I could be prepared by the time he got upstairs to whatever was gonna happen to me. It was so unfair to that little boy.
Now, people on Reddit are convinced that Megan's poetry book is actually about MGK, which is interesting because he's the one who encouraged her to write it. In another poem titled "Don't Worry, Darling," she writes, "Mornings after you would hurt me, I would wake up and make your coffee. Put on a sweatshirt so you wouldn't have to look at the bruises you left. Imagine all the girls who don't get hurt for laughing at another boy's jokes." This book clearly seems to reflect her relationship with MGK. There are only two conclusions you can draw from this. Either she's exaggerating for attention, or she's describing a deeply toxic situation, and this is fiction. In one of the first poems, titled "Effed Up" by Fairy Tales, she describes a partner as violent and physically harmful, leaving bruises while she's crying and begging. In another poem, She describes her partner as emotionally distant, yet still engaging in dating behavior elsewhere. One poem even refers to her partner as a narcissist, with an age gap that aligns with MGK at the time of writing. Another poem describes herself as a sacrifice for her partner's fame. This TikToker got a copy of Megan's book and shared a few of the poems. Go ahead and listen.
I was disturbed about some of them, and some of them were just sad, so I want to read you a couple. Now all goddesses fly, some of us struggle on the ground, as the mortal men that we gave our hearts to keep their feet on our necks, but one day we'll remember our own names and turn them all to ashes. And the title is Hell Hath No Fury. And my heart never rests because it does not trust the hand that holds it. That's sad. Titled Why I Have Insomnia. For 3 years I've been in this infinite desert, every day on my knees, praying for the sun to set so I can finally crawl out of your shadow. Titled Eight of Swords Reversed. I prefer the agonizing psychological abuse of this trauma bond to the prosaic tedium of a regular life. Just please don't actually kill me, because then it will all be over and I'm addicted to suffering. You are not real. You are only a projection of qualities that you think others will find interesting. The morose poet, the reckless rock star, the orphaned lost boy, but really you are just a duplicitous snake, and your venom pulses through my veins, slowly killing me, all while you smile, for the paparazzi in your couture suit. Titled The Devil Wears Dulce. And they say nothing lasts forever, and so I drag myself out of bed and smile for my children, counting the hours until I can dematerialize into the murky realm of my unconscious, searching for even the most fleeting moment of relief from this devastating wildfire inside of my chest. Titled 1 Hour at a Time. And those few poems do not even include the ones that are very disturbing and descriptive.
These poems sound like a relationship from hell. It's incredibly disturbing. I hope for her sake this is fictional, although she said it's not. If anyone has been listening to MGK's music, especially his last 2 albums, he's been hinting at, if not outright saying, very similar things. He's put out multiple songs about staying constantly high because he can't cope with life, despite spending heavily on therapy. In the interlude from Tickets to My Downfall, there's a recording of Megan where she notices he's drunk on tequila. We've already heard tequila mentioned multiple times. She offers to play the interlude, which is mostly a prior voice memo. It sounds like she's talking to Coulson, MGK's real name, asking if he even remembers what they do because he's often not fully aware, and pointing out how quickly things escalated between them. Just 4 months after they met, she got his nickname tattooed, and he got her initials tattooed on himself. There are also multiple references to him being narcissistic and harmful in relationships. He talks about frequent arguments becoming normalized, and there are mentions of dark thoughts and emotional instability. Some people have pointed out that it seems risky to publicly release poetry describing your partner in such a negative light while still being in the relationship. So I'm going to assume that some of this is exaggeration or shock value. But at this point, it does seem like their relationship was going through a downward spiral, especially after dealing with difficult experiences like the miscarriage. In addition to his music, MGK has also opened up about some of the darker moments in his relationship with Megan and what he's put her through. It feels like through their art, both of them are expressing what they're going through individually in the relationship. And honestly, the content doesn't come across as uplifting. It feels heavy and emotional. The poetry seems dark and sad, and it's hard not to feel for anyone who relates to that kind of experience, because toxic or abusive dynamics are never okay. At the same time, MGK has talked about struggling mentally and emotionally, even expressing feelings of not wanting to be here anymore. He's also referenced intense arguments between them, where emotions escalate and things get out of control. It raises concerns about what both of them have gone through behind the scenes.
Musician Machine Gun Kelly has made a shocking confession about the night he went too far with fiancée Megan Fox.
I just snapped.
You have such a dark spirit.
I'm in my room and I'm freaking out on her.
And put in his mouth.
She stayed with him? Why the hell would she do that?
Machine Gun Kelly is very manipulated.
I'm not stopping my
He depends on her like he's one of her kids.
Since she's been with MGK, Megan's gone from this
I'm the mom of 2 boys, and I want them to live with me forever.
to this.
I know I can't protect them.
Saving him is not her responsibility.
But she's in love.
What on earth is she supposed to do?
Just imagine what it was like for her. Your fiancé calls you at night. He's screaming and accuses you of leaving him.
You weren't here for me.
You can't rush to him because you're in another country for work. So he takes...
Did I put this in my mouth? And I'm yelling on the phone and like the barrel's in my mouth.
What would you tell him to make him stop?
Megan's like dead silent.
Megan didn't react the way he expected, and what she did instead turned his life around.
I don't know why he would want to. He seems like someone who has his career, who is engaged to this very beautiful woman.
A lot of people, Coulson, which is MGK's real name, was living a dream after he started dating Megan Fox.
The bigger you get, the more popular your music is, the more people want to chase you around and know about your personal life and talk about Megan.
She's the most compassionate person ever, who loves me for me and all my favorites. She said, "How do you feel?" And I said, "I'm lost." And she said, "Let's find you."
When you find people that come together, that whose souls have known each other, it's hard to ignore that kind of a connection.
Honestly, I'm proud of Megan Fox for getting herself out of this situation. Now, they do have a baby named Saga, who I believe was born last year in 2025, so she's still very young, around 1 year old now. I think she was born in March, which would line up. MGK also has another daughter, who's a teenager. These days, Megan is no longer with him, but it does look like they're co-parenting, which is good for the child. It's an interesting name, Saga, but overall, Megan has clearly been through a lot. Looking at her Instagram and her current lifestyle, it seems like she might just be trying to rediscover herself after everything that happened in that relationship. Even recently blocking him suggests that things are still complicated. And who knows what co-parenting looks like behind the scenes. There could be challenges there too. But I'd love to hear what you guys think about all of this in the comments. What do you think is going to happen next? And if you're into breaking down viral celebrity stories, hidden details, and everything happening behind the scenes, make sure you subscribe to our channel, Trending Stories, because the next video might completely change how you see all of this. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye guys.